In June 1989, what was the ratio of the number of sales transactions made by salesperson X to the number of sales transactions made by salesperson Y? I'm going to write this as the ratio of what X made in June over what Y made in June. This is the ratio we're trying to evaluate. Well, statement number 1 tells us that in June 1989, salesperson X made 50% more sales transactions than salesperson Y did in May 1989. Well, that's an awfully confusing statement, actually. But what it tells us is that X June equals 50% more. So that means multiply by the multiplier 1.5 times Y in May. Okay, so this tells us nothing about what Y made in June. This only would allow us to relate what X made in June to what Y made in May. So by itself, this statement is insufficient. Now forget about statement number 1. Statement number 2 tells us that salesperson Y in June made 25% more than salesperson Y made in May. So Y in June is 25% more. So that's the multiplier 1.25 times Y in May. Well, this statement tells us nothing about what X made in any month. So this statement gives us no way to compare X to Y, so this statement by itself is insufficient. Both statements are insufficient, so now we have to combine the statements and see if we have sufficient information. Well, now we know both of these equations, that X in June is 1.5 Y in May, and Y in June is 1.25 Y in May. Well, I'm going to do something wild. I'm going to divide one equation by the other equation. And so what we get is that X in June over Y in June equals 1.5 over 1.25. Now we don't have to simplify that. It's enough to know that now we actually can figure out a numerical value for the ratio of X to Y. And so now we do have sufficient information. So combined, the statements are sufficient. Answer choice C.